here with Steve Jones. He is presently our city manager here in Trinity and the chief of police, and he's seeking the position of Trinity County Judge. And I'm really excited about sitting down with you, Steve.
Sure.
Welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
I've got a lot of questions. I mean,
right.
we got a lot to talk about. There's been a lot going on in Trinity, and we've been to all these meet and greets, and I've heard you talk about this, and I've heard you talk about different things. So let's talk about, first of all, your family.
Dad, he was the insurance salesman, and he traveled the state. He ended up having his own insurance agency in Lufkin. I was born in Lufkin, and one day he decided that he was going to go into the ministry. So we moved to Fort Worth. He got his degree in theology, and after that he moved. The first place we came was he left there and came to a little church in Friday, Texas. So the First Baptist Church of Friday, Texas. We lived in Groveton. I was about 13 years old, and we lived in Groveton. Wasn't very long after that, the church got a parsonage out in Friday. We ended up moving out to Friday. From there, I've been back and forth Friday community, Trinity community. I started working at 16 years old. I started working at Brooks Brothers here in Trinity a year after it was built. So I've been here ever since. My mom, she was a preacher's wife. Initially, she studied and became a registered nurse, and then she worked for a home health agency and become a director for them, and she retired from them. My brothers and sisters, they've scattered out. My little brother, he followed me, and I followed him actually because I worked for the prison, but he was in law enforcement. He's been successful with his career, and then once I got in law enforcement, I'm here I am. So my dad retired from the First Baptist Church of Groveton. I believe he was there 32 years as a preacher, so that's an accomplishment. That's something to be proud of. I sometimes feel that, in the respects of my ability to manage and deal with the ins and outs of stuff, there's always, with every field, there's always ins and outs and, and ups and downs and good days and bad days. And my dad and my mom, they have really taught myself, my brothers and my sisters to be resilient on those things.
Right.
All of my brothers, I have two brothers and a sister, and all of us are what I would consider successful and resilient with resolving issues and dealing with things.
Well, that's good. And very likely it was a lot to do with your father's ministry and growing up in a minister's home. I know that my husband and I were in the ministry for many years, and I'm pastoring right now in Sebastopol, and there's nothing like that life.
I will tell you that I was the atypical preacher's kid. I was pretty.
I had some of those too.
I had a pretty wild younger days, but in my age, I got married, and I had two children with my first wife, and things just didn't work out there. So I ended up being a single dad with them two, and I met my second wife, and we ended up having two more children, and that didn't work out. It was probably my fault on both sides, but I'm a single dad now. But I have my first two children. They're basically grown now. They're 17 and 19, so.
Right.
They're out. They have something to do with me, but they live their own life. They're doing their thing, and then I have my two youngers half the time, and I spend time with them. I spend a lot of time with them. So, as far as my family goes, that's great. Here recently, I've been able to spend a lot of extra time with my little brother, so that's been really nice. He retired from the Polk County Sheriff's Office as the captain of patrol. The lieutenant of patrol, and. Now he's a software salesman for law enforcement.
Oh,
so
excellent.
Yeah, he's been able to spend more time.
You are both the police chief and the city manager.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that. I mean, those are both big jobs.
Well, as far as the police chief goes, in 2003, I was working for Polk County Sheriff's Office as a deputy jailer, and I was wanting to get out on the streets and become a street deputy. I didn't realize that it was actually going to be my next turn, but I also wanted to come back to Trinity. I just, Trinity and Trinity County is just home to me. And like I said, I'd gotten married, and I had my first son, and I said, I want my son to be back in Trinity County, and this is where I want to go. So I loaded up and got a job at Trinity Police Department as a patrol officer in 2003, in February of 2003. In a couple of years, they had made me a sergeant, patrol sergeant, and within the fourth year, I was selected by the Commissioner's Court to take over Sheriff Jimmy Smith's term of office his last 2 years. Mm-hmm. So I was very honored by being selected. I didn't. When I got in there, I didn't realize that. And at the time, Judge Evans, County Judge Evans, I said, okay, it was a Friday, and I literally was getting married to my second wife on Saturday, and I said, okay, man, I said, y'all have appointed me. I said, well, so when do I take office? He says, right now. I'm fixing to go swear you in right now. I said, oh, right now? I'm getting married tomorrow. I've got stuff to do.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a little fun there, but back to, I get sidetracked, but so in the sheriff's deal, I had a year. I ended up in a runoff, and I lost the runoff by about 125 votes, I think. I can't remember the exact number, but it turned out to be a blessing for me. And that's why we don't know what plan you have, what God's plan has for you. You don't know where you're going to land. And so far, I've been taken care of. Mm-hmm. When I lost the election, the Trinity Police Department had an opening for the chief of police. And I came over here and I said, hey, well, this is what I'm interested in. And they unanimously said, well, we want you as a chief.
Right. And
I've been here since 2008. About 4 years ago, the city had fallen on some hard times, and I've always been proud of being the chief of police in a small community, because if people think about it, if you remember, if you look back, there hasn't been a lot of chiefs that stay more than 3, 4, or 5 years. They don't last long around here. And I'd been the chief about 10 years, and I'd always wanted to transition to my next step. I'd always wanted to go city manager or do something else, or progress mm-hmm. in life, and that's my direction to go. Well, when the city fell on some hard times and the city manager position came available, I knew the city didn't have the money to find and hire somebody else. So I volunteered, and I said, listen, I'll take on both roles. I can do it. I have some plans. I have ideals. I have things that we can do, and I'd love the challenge. And
so you're not getting paid both jobs?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I was not getting paid, and I'm not getting paid both jobs. Mm-hmm. When I first started, I just stepped in and did it. Mm-hmm. And about maybe a year or 2 years later, after the budget had recovered, after things had started going really great for the city and all that, yes, they did give me a significant raise. They gave me a $10,000 raise. But other than that, I haven't gotten. I'm not getting. Some people think I'm getting double salary.
Right.
Now I wish I would. I'd appreciate that.
I've heard that. That people wonder about that. But that's why I asked the question, because
I in this whole 4 years, I've gotten one $10,000 raise, and then I've gotten basically, I think, a 3% like everybody got for the city, and then last year we were able to give everybody a 5% raise. Mm-hmm. So I've gotten, other than that, no other special money or nothing.
Right.
That was the raise I got. But even with that being said, I'm still I'm still doing both jobs, right. Juggling all of that, juggling my kids and juggling my private life and making it work. And I'm again back to what my father, my parents, my mom has taught me, is my resiliency, I believe, of being able to keep doing that kind of stuff. Right. I like it, and I love our community. There's nobody that can't tell you that I don't love our community.
Well, once you get in this community, it's hard not to love
this
community. It's just,
right.
We've been here almost 15 years now, and I couldn't imagine living anywhere else.
I couldn't either. And I can tell you that I have gone, one of the things I love about a community, I have gone up and down with some people, mm-hmm. Right down to some of the people that used to be my friends growing up. they developed drug problems, and I was every chance I could get trying to put them in jail and trying to do something, you know.
Right.
And we hated, you know, not hate each other, but we were on the opposite ends,
Right,
enemies
yeah.
of this. And now some of those guys are clean and they're straightened up and they have
Yeah.
the best lives. And every time I see them now, it's a hugging moment.
It's very rewarding,
Yes,
isn't
and
it?
it's rewarding, and and it's things like that that you can't go somewhere else
Right.
and have that relationship with people that we have here,
Yeah.
and you can say what you want to, but those build special bonds, and I have a lot of those, not just drugs and that.
Right.
I
Yeah.
have special bonds with lots of people that I've helped. I often say, you know, and I don't want to dive too much off in religion, but God puts you. You often wonder. You say to yourself, God, why are you doing this to me? Or the devil's after me. Sometimes we just simply get in our own way.
That's right.
Sometimes we create the troubles and dramas in our lives.
Exactly.
So I don't want to say that, you know, the troubles I've had, but I've always believed that the troubles that I have had in my life have prepared me to help other people.
Exactly.
You know, with my divorces, with my child custody issues and things of that
Yeah.
nature, I know what somebody is feeling. So I've had bonds with people that I've helped with child custody issues, with issues that they had with CPS. They didn't know what to do. They were the last place to turn. So I've always been proud of being able to be somebody that somebody can come to.
Right. So as city manager,
I get sidetracked, so I'm sorry.
oh no, that's fine. I'm enjoying
Okay.
hearing it. I mean, and I'm sure when I see you on Facebook, when you see you in town, you're Steve Jones, and when I see you on Facebook, I see so many of your posts are hilarious. I just love your posts, and so I know you've got a great sense of humor.
Yes, ma'am.
And but you know, a lot of people. That's what this is all about. It's for people to get to know you and to hear what you have to say about a lot of things.
Right.
So, but I want to talk about water now.
Okay.
And as it was said earlier, I think you said it. The what is it, 800-pound gorilla or elephant in the room?
Elephant in the room.
You know, the thing is, there's an issue, and
Yes,
it needs
ma'am.
to be dealt with. It is being dealt with, and so tell us, the process and what's going on there.
Now, as far as the city goes, first things first is I would encourage nobody to put their reputation or their name attached to any kind of water system, because that is I've had more troubles with water reputation than I've ever had with chief of police reputation,
Yeah.
with law enforcement. That you have to really give a shout out to anybody that is involved with a sewer or water license or anything, because there is a lot to deal with. There's a lot. And I don't want to discredit anybody in the past from the city. You know, things are what they are. You know, maybe the funds weren't there in the past, maybe the opportunities weren't there, but we do have, so in our city, we have 3 water towers. Buddy Drake was able to get the county a few years ago and help build the water tower that you see on 94. And he helped get funding through there and some other funding. So that was an awesome opportunity. And the purpose of that water tower, the reason that the funding came in, was to help with the fire protection at the school, which is necessary, and to water pressure in that area. So that created the 3rd water tower for the city, 150,000 gallons apiece. There's one up north, there's one there, and the other 2 were, I want to say, were built in 1980 and 1982, and they're still in great shape. Now, so those are 3/4 of what you would say our storage capability is for the water.
Right.
Now the other 1/4, or I don't know, I'd say they were 2/3 of the water, and the other 1/3 is a ground storage tank that's behind the community center, and a concrete tank that's out at our wells. Those 2 systems are dilapidated. They're
I've
old.
seen that.
They're
You took me out and
yes,
showed it
ma'am,
to
I
me.
took you out and showed you.
Mhm.
I love taking people out there. I mean, it's almost you're like, man, did you see this? This is how I think you know.
It was very impressive.
Yes.
The whole process.
Unfortunately, the facts is, and the truth is, we are, and the council is doing it. They're relying on information from me and other people
Yeah.
that we have come in contract with to say, hey, this is what we need to do, and they're doing the best they can do. But unfortunately, the truth is that we're really holding those together, trying to keep those tanks together. For me and the council and the mayor, realized that yes, there's a problem. We went to work on it, and it's just kind of a weird day. A lady named Sherry, she came over. She lives in Riverside, and she works with grants. And so it's not everybody's like, oh, I did this, I did that. No, the way it happened, Sherry came in. She says, hey, there's a grant opportunity, and I'd like to talk to you. We had talked to her before. We started to, building this is what you need to do is build
Right.
relationships. So in our relationship with her, she said, there's this great opportunity for a grant, blah, 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 but you got to give me the sob story. And I said, I have the sob story. I can put it together. And so I put it together, all the information that she needed, gave it to her. She did her magic, and we were able to get a $4,028,000 grant that is going to replace that ground storage tank with the 4th water tower for the community, and replace the concrete tank with a 300,000-gallon steel tank.
Oh, that'd be nice.
And that way, our 3 wells will pump to the steel tank, and we'll have we have proper storage now, but we'll have new, modern storage, what I'd like to say. And then in town, instead of a ground storage tank, that is in bad shape. It'll be an above ground tank that'll be gravity fed pressure, because we have to rely on pumps from the ground storage tank to pressurize the system.
Yeah.
So you have all kinds of variables. Those pumps go down, the pressure goes down in the lines in that third of the city. Usually we get a call from McDonald's, say they have low pressure. That means we may be having a pump issue. So we run over there, the crews run over there to try to diagnose and see what's going on. We have had everything from impellers go out, pumps go out, motors go out, everything. Our wells were affected by a squirrel getting fried on the line.
I remember that.
Yeah. We had there was cows out there that stepped on the phone lines. There's been lightning. I think we've had lightning strikes twice, 2 or 3 times that we've
Welcome
had
to
claims.
rural America.
And those are the things but every time you do those things, it causes major issues with your water. One of the greatest things was a guy named Jack Schultz with TCQ. Through these past troubles we've just recently had, I had 2 to 3 conversations a day with him, and he is somebody that is a guru, I would say. And Jack has really come up here and helped the city and worked with us and shined some lights on some issues, and we really started shining. So I think things are going to be really great for the city, water-wise.
Yeah.
In a selfish way, I'm kind of like, man, once I win the county judge race and I go to the county, and this water tower's built, this ground storage tank's built, we have a new line that will feed the new water tower with the water that we're purchasing from the Trinity River Authority. We'll have one source water. The water quality will be really, really great in our community. Part of that $4 million grant calls for replacing approximately a mile of water line. Unfortunately, you have to prioritize in the grant what you want to start off with, and then see how far the money can go.
Right.
But not only that, but we have other grants. One's at $500,000 that is replacing. It is dedicated just for new water lines. So we are with $5 million in grants that we have been awarded. We'll be replacing the 2 tanks and replacing water lines in the community, which is needed.
Right.
And I'm excited about that. And I hate that I may not necessarily be an exact
Yeah, you won't
part
be here
of
to
it.
be part of the.
Yeah,
I understand.
the fun of, wow, man, look at what,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be here, don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, but it just won't be the same.
Involved. Yeah. Do we actually have, I've heard that we have still in places in Trinity that there are still wooden.
No, ma'am.
Okay, somebody has said that I don't remember, that was back when I was the editor.
It
of the
wasn't
paper
that
and
long
talking
ago.
about
It wasn't, 10 years ago, they
Mhm.
did dig up some wooden lines, and there was a community recently that posted where they dug up some. There is about a 3-foot section of it at the library that you can, in the lobby of the library, that you can see an
Wow.
old piece of wooden line. So that is interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting how they did that.
That is.
But no, there's none of that. And
Yeah.
there is some of the old steel lines that have been replaced with PVC over the years, but
Yeah.
there's still a lot of it still in the ground. It needs to be replaced, and hopefully, move forward with the city for that.
Right.
But it's not just the lines that are problematic. It is the storage tanks, which are being replaced, and also when you blend water, and a water quality person can tell you this, is when you're blending the water that we're getting from the Trinity River Authority
Right.
with the water that we're getting from our wells, you're having two source water, you're blending it together, it causes problems.
Right.
So that's where I think it's going to be great for us to have this new water line that's laid on Tatum Street fill the new water tower, and then all the water towers basically will be filled from Trinity River Authority water, and our wells will be left as a reserve, as a back. You have to have a backup source.
Right.
Some of the other water systems right now in the county, if their systems go down, they don't have water.
Yeah. Well, we're struggling with a few issues in Westwood Shores
Yes,
this
ma'am.
week.
And they're spending a lot of money. There's
Yeah, and
this is not just
It's all over the
Trinity's
county.
problem.
No, it's
There's-
all over the county. That's I was reading something on yesterday that this is happening in all different neighborhoods all,
Yes, ma'am.
all over the place.
Water will be a big issue. As far as county judge goes, I am absolutely not a water expert. I've taken my classes, I've done everything. I'm working on getting my actual license. I'd like to have that. But there are so many guys out there, so many people out there with so much knowledge, and private companies. Like y'all hired a great company in Westwood. But I will say that I do appreciate. It kind of works out for me. I appreciate the knowledge and the baptizing the fire, if you
Right.
will, of the things I've learned in our water system. So one of the things I'll bring to the table for the county judge is we have water systems throughout our county.
Right.
There was a company at the Commissioner's Court with requesting some funds and talking about their issues that they were wanting some help with. And I'll be able to understand it. I'll be able to
Yeah.
know what they're talking about. As many homes that are being built in our community, water will be a commodity.
Yes.
Water will be something will be a big issue. Our government right now even tried to take over our water rights here
I know.
recently, and that doesn't mean that they're not pushing on that door. So I do appreciate the knowledge that I've learned, even though it has been a difficult road.
Yeah. I know the people are glad that they don't have to boil water, and that was a long time that they did.
Yes, ma'am.
And fortunately, like I say, I live in Westwood Shores. I wasn't experiencing that, but I'm glad to see that this is about to be in the rearview mirror.
Yes, ma'am.
And unfortunately, that's you stepped in just at the time that this thing cratered and crashed, and it sounds like you've been handling it. I know that a lot of people have been struggling,
Right.
and I know that you're the face of it
Right.
that the people see. So
Yes, ma'am. I had some ladies when one of the other water companies had some trouble producing water.
Mhm.
They thought that I turned the valve off, and I said, "No, I didn't turn the valve off. We would love to sell the water. We just need to work out the contract of it."
right.
And right now they're trying to do their thing, and we haven't worked out a contract with them yet. So the city does have a surplus of water from the Trinity River Authority plant that we're available to be able to sell to people. And the contract with that actually got thrown in our laps. So, but we were able to absorb it. We were able to figure out a plan for it, and it's actually worked out to be a good deal for us. So,
let's talk county judge now.
okay.
What made you decide to become the county judge and to run for county judge, and what do you believe you can bring to the office?
I had never studied on running for county judge or being a county judge. I'm happy where I was doing, and especially things are improving. Doug Page, me and him we worked together on some of our planning grants and things of that nature. I've always, leave the county business up to Doug Page and let him do his thing. And some people had mentioned that he wasn't. Well, I had received some calls from people that are my friends and that I like them, and they, hey, I want this and that. And I said, no, I don't want to run against Doug Page. And I said, let him have it. He can have it, as long as he wants it. And then the next day I know I got a few calls and said, hey, well, what if he don't run? And I said, well, who else would be the runners? And there were some other people that come up with an ideal of people that thought might run. And I said, well, no, I don't want to. I don't want to get tangled up in that either. I don't want to be tangled up in politics.
Right.
And I'm, I like being kind of low key. Sort of what you said, when I'm in town, I'm actually kind of quiet and reserved.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very difficult for me to approach people at these speaking events because I'm not that person. And, but I said, I don't know, man. And so I had a few other people that I said, well, if they're going, and then those people actually called me and said, hey, man, I heard that you were interested. I said, well, no, I got asked. And I told them that I'm not going to do it because if you want it, go. You run. I'll support you. No, I don't want it. I don't want to do it. And I got other plans. I said, well, then okay. And then the more I ended up with about 6 or 7 of those calls, and I said, okay, well, let's do it. I'll make a go for it. And I wanted to make a point to be the first person to sign up. So the sign-up date was actually a weekend at midnight, and I jokingly told Scott Womack, I said, well, be ready. I'm going to knock on your door at 12:01 a.m. with my fee and my paperwork. And he kind of let me know that if I do that, I might not be around B County.
Yeah.
So I said, I just want to be the first one to sign up because if I'm the first one to sign up, in my mind, in my heart, whoever signs, I'm not signing up against anybody else.
Right.
So I have a clear conscience of, hey, whoever runs. And Mr. Martin, I've said it in every one of my speeches. I have no animosity against him. He's a good man. He's been the JP now for a few years, and I've worked with him. I work with all the JPs, and helped school. I've helped guide them along a lot of the JPs when they've come and gone through the years. So there's absolutely nothing, no issue with me about him. He's a great man.
Right.
He's a good man. So, but that's how I came about running.
Well, what do you think you
The
can
long
do
way
for
around
the
the story.
office now? When you go in. Let me tell you something. Doug Page will be a hard act to follow.
Yes, ma'am.
He is loved by a lot of people.
Yes, ma'am. He, I think one of Doug's qualities is he tries to, not get so tangled up in the business of troubles and rumors and all. He just does his thing and he keeps pushing forward. I am the same way. I'll do my thing. I've had multiple times of controversy, and I just keep doing my thing and keep pushing forward. But Doug Page has always pushed forward with, he knows he has things in place, and sometimes you can't slow down to explain the details to every single person.
Right.
Because a lot of people ask questions just to ask questions and just to I don't know why. But one of the things I'd like to bring for Trinity County is I'm a promoter type. I am I've just recently, this last year, I had a barbecue cook-off. I ended up with 49 teams from across Texas. And I was told from the association that I had the top 10 teams in Texas cooking in our cook-off. I gave away $20,000 in prizes. I paid out the top 15 in each category. It brought a crowd. It brought people that drove 2 days from the valley just to enter the cook-off. Once they came to Trinity, they were like, we love your little community, and they stayed the weekend here. This year, I'm having a cook-off, and since the way the 4th falls, we're having a $40,000 cook-off that I'm working on the funds for on that, and I make these funds back. Plus we make either break even on this last one was my first one to do 20,000, so my goal was break even. I just wanted to see if I could do it. Next year, I want to do more of a fundraising to maybe try to help some kind of organization. But I'm a promoter. If I'm right, which I know I will be this July, I'm expecting 100 teams to come to Trinity. I have every Christmas, every Halloween years ago, taking my own children around, I notice a pattern of people with trailers and trucks, and I did it. I had trailers and trucks, and you hayride, and that is great. That's awesome. We had a kid fall off the back of a truck one year and got hurt, and then I just realized that there was so congested, and it's a ticking time bomb that some kid's gonna get run over with a trailer, and I just what can we do about that? Plus, for the Halloween night, it was hit or miss with the house whether or not you had anybody. And the kid, people, it's hard on the community to try to come, people with fixed incomes and whatnot, and they give out one piece of candy, and your kids got candy, don't get me wrong, but they didn't get candy. And this goes back to something with my dad. My dad has always gone big. He always goes big, everything he does. So we started the Treats on the Street. And we started off pretty small. I think we started off with 17 businesses that supported us the first year. And last year, I ended up with 48 businesses, I think, that set up booths where we expanded from just one street to now we take up 4 streets that encompass an entire block. And it is, as far as I'm concerned, an amazing event. I'd say we roughly had 500, 600 kids come to the event, and then that doesn't include their parents. So for Trinity County, I know how to promote things. I know how to push things out there, and I'd like to help us shine on a positive note. Now, as far as the other ins and outs of the county judge, it's one of those things you get in there, and you got to get in there just like with the city manager. I got in the city manager's position, and I said, okay, let me start looking at the numbers. Let me start looking at this. One of the biggest projects that I'm proud about is, and it's hard to tell this story without trying to sound like, there was a lot wrong, but we had approximately 600 meters out of our 1,800 that were broken and not being read, and, this and that. And we had one lady that was responsible for reading the meters, and she was given an impossible task that if you were to do the numbers on it, you would require her to read 1 meter every 3 minutes, something like that. And that's impossible considering downtime, moving time. So I'll say the city was not getting an accurate read. Buddy Drake had done a lot of research on new meters and smart technology meters in the past, and I opened up the drawer and I found all of his work. And so I said, well, okay, let me look at all this. I called some of the vendors, and I refreshed the information because it was a years old at the time. I refreshed the information and talked with the council. And I'm sorry, I'm forgetting. It's 600. I always have a lot of numbers in my head. I can't say if it's 630,000 or 680, but it's $680,000 project. And we put the new Camstruck smart meters that are ultrasonic, and they're read with the ultrasonic signal instead of any kind of mechanical part. And we went from unreliably reading the meters once a month to we read everybody's meter 24 times a day, once an hour, every day of the month. And that accuracy has made it to where the 600 and 700 plus the amount of accounts we found that people were just flat out stealing water. That accuracy is we went from those accounts. I think right now we have 1,800. No, we have 1,600 meters, and now we have like 1,880 meters. Found meters, and basically holding people accountable. It's not.
I remember the video, you showed it to me 4 years ago, I guess, when you were doing the project, and I was so impressed because you were losing water, and people, because the old meters didn't move the needle, if you will,
right.
And the new ones relied on moisture,
Right.
basically, so you didn't lose all that water and money. So I think that was a smart move.
The new meters with such accuracy that it's a joke in the office that I'm batting 100 because we've had people come up and say, I don't have a leak. I know I don't have a leak. I've checked. There's no way I have a leak. And I'm like, all right, well, and I'm the last resort. They said, well, let's send Jones over, and I'll go over there. And one gentleman had a 0.01, 0.03 leak, very small. And I felt defeated. I said, man, I don't know. And I looked in his wife's toilet, in his wife's bathroom, and there was a small crack at the top of the overflow, and the water was just bare.
Yeah.
I bent it a little bit and saw the leak, and he was so there's I could tell stories like that all day. I don't want to get tangled up in that. But
well, I was very impressed with the system.
the water meters is what turned it around for our financially for the one of the things that turned around things financially. That and decisions made by the mayor and the council that together we all worked together and we made things happen. And that's what I would like to bring to Trinity County is getting in there with the commissioners, working with each of them, working with things, working with not just the commissioners, but working with each department head, each elected official, and identifying what's going on with you, what's an issue that you're having, and how can I help.
Right.
I love helping people. That's my thing. That's how can I help? Let's look at the numbers. Let's evaluate and see where we can trim or see where we can add.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you that I do get picked on because I'm more of a spender type. I guess I'm not. I believe that, and I have a lot. Sometimes this is an uphill battle for myself. Sometimes it's an uphill battle for myself, but I believe that government is not for generational wealth building. We shouldn't have millions of dollars in the bank and sitting on it, and our infrastructure is crumbling.
I agree.
We shouldn't have money here and we're not spending it now. We shouldn't be passing that money on to, we're going to pass this money on. I'm so proud of ourselves for passing it on. I do believe that if we say, hey, we have a need now and we have the money now, then let's spend that on fix that need now, as long as it's a responsible need.
Sure.
Not a wish list, not a fruit list, but as long as it's responsible.
The thing is, you want to leave a legacy,
Right.
and money in the bank is not really always a legacy.
Yes, ma'am. A lot of people, and it is a lot of people want to leave a legacy, and that's why some people that are really big about that, I say, listen, do you want people to remember that? You think people are going to remember that you passed down $300,000, or you think people are going to remember that you were the one that put this in place?
Right.
And that's going to be there for now, forever. One of the grants we have that we're the closest on working to right now because they're moving forward quickly. We're doing our bids. Is we did a sidewalk downtown rejuvenation grant, and Railroad Street is fixing to have a sidewalk going from Highway 94, front of the feed store down through downtown and through past the bank, and it's going to be going towards Brookshire Brothers. Just like the water grant, the money can only go so far. So we were able to make it last to San Jacinto Street, and what it also calls for is widening Railroad Street 3 foot. So it's going to widen that street 3 foot and put curb and gutters, and
that would be very nice.
And the sidewalk. But another great thing about it is once they get into it and they start becoming any issues with any water or sewer lines in there, they will replace that too along the way. So
that's nice.
We have to just wait and see if they're going to have any issues. But that sidewalk going down there is going to be great for people to walk down that street, widening that street, and for the sake of the city, I personally feel like that could be a great opportunity for business growth. Once we are speaking to the Economic Development Committee of Trinity to finish the sidewalk all the way down to Brookshire Brothers to see if they're interested in doing that, and if they do so, I could see Railroad Street becoming a back business street for our community.
That would be awesome.
Instead of maybe homes. Yeah. But anyway, those are the things that I'd like to bring to Trinity County. Sit down with each department head, ask them what are y'all issues, focus on their issues, listen to them. I don't think sometimes your department heads get listened to and they're not heard, and I'll be sure to be able to hear them and be honest with them. Tell them like, no, I don't agree with you, or yeah, I do agree with you, or I don't necessarily agree with you. I don't agree with you, but I want to help you. Let's make it work for you. What's going to happen?
Well, Steve, I'll tell you what. I'm looking forward to finding out who wins what in this election. This is probably the most interesting election that I've been involved in Trinity County. And I hope you do well. And I thank you so much for
Yes,
coming
sir.
in today
Yes, ma'am.
and sitting down
Yes,
with
ma'am.
us. And thank you for clearing up some of the stuff that, on the water and everything. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.